Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Angel Rock. I am your host, Lorilei Potvin. I am a Canadian clairvoyant medium, a crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher, and mentor, as well as a registered nurse. And if you are listening, and you'll be hearing this being broadcast live from New Orleans, Louisiana, I'm just waiting for my guest. We're having fun with guests. She had a live event before this, so hopefully she will be here shortly. She was just finishing up with the live that she had, and we're going to talk about this tonight. I want to wish everybody happy Valentine's Day. If you've never been here before, welcome. If you've been here to my show before, change up the description a little bit. What I'm going to say is, because this is what my show is about, I have people, whether through their personal or professional lives and their passions, when they're guests on my show, and they share what they're doing because they create a positive effect for humanity. And that's what this show is about. So we cover all different aspects of topics. Many of them tend to go with what I am in the way of a light worker. But sometimes we talk about medical things. Sometimes we talk about activism. And of course, there's always the paranormal. Now, I'm going to remind those of you that may be commenting on my Facebook profile that I cannot see the comments there. They don't pop up here. So if you'd like to comment, I am on my YouTube channel tonight because some of the topics we're going to discuss tonight are going to be a little bit sensitive. We're going to be talking about what's going on in Canada, as well as you can go to UFO Paranormal Radio on Facebook, or just even if you type the letters UPRN for United Public Radio Network, you'll find the page. All you have to do is follow it. And then you can see the stream, you can comment, and I will see your comments there. So hopefully I sent a message to who we're having as a fellow host on the network, Cathy Bilsky. She's been on here before. She is the host on Friday nights. I believe it's at midnight Eastern Standard Time when she goes live for an hour with her amazing show, Quantum Leap. She is a shamanic practitioner. She's a powerful healer. She offers a lot of free healing. She has a beautiful crystal shop that she owns and operates, I think, 6 days a week out of the Big Island in Hawaii. And she's also involved with a project called Global Enlightenment. Some of you were able to attend to that last night, and she did it again this evening. Now, we were going to do it live on my show. Last night, I did not get to participate. You saw my face for 2 seconds. I didn't know she had gone live. And I was trying to edit a few of the settings on the stream last night, and lo and behold, my audio would not work. It didn't matter what I did. Apparently, when Cathy was trying to hear me, I sounded like I had chipmunks going on through my speakers, so I wasn't able to join in. And as it turns out, with the new hour of my show, we've moved ahead an hour now, it just didn't quite coordinate. So I know she was running the Valentine's stream of Global Enlightenment this evening off of her own Facebook channel, her YouTube channel, I believe on the Global Enlightenment website. So we will be talking about that tonight. So I'm sure we're going to start with some things tonight. We're not on our usual UPRN channel or the UFO Paranormal Radio channel. And the reason for that, like I said earlier, if you're just joining, we're going to talk about a few sensitive subjects. And that way, we make everybody happy over at YouTube. So speaking of YouTube, I do want to remind you that you may want to check out our monthly membership that we have that helps support the network. When you support the network, we get to bring you new shows, other hosts. There's something for everybody on this network. Now, the cool part about it is when you support us, you get something in return. So many of us hosts, myself included, have included exclusive content, exclusive shows that only those that help support, it's really reasonable monthly, get access to that, as well as I know many of us hosts will be creating some personal content in there, maybe some teaching or what have you. We've got people in the paranormal. I mean, practically there's a show for everybody here on this network. So everybody's going to be contributing to it. And like I said, by you helping us, we give back to you. And we love you guys. We love your support. I call all of you my angel rockers, my family. I'm so happy that you support us. So the big question is what's going on in Canada. And I will tell you, I had a lovely chat. One of my other passions and my second business I'm setting up is I create resin pieces. And for those of you who may not know what that is, it's kind of like a liquid plastic. You pour it into some molds and you can create beautiful, incredible pieces. I actually just won a prize off of my monthly subscription box that I get from Singapore. Anyways, I met somebody that was very lovely in that group, and he lives over in Australia. I don't know if he's watching or not, but if you are, hey, Neil, had a great chat with you last night. But the cool part about our conversation was he's getting information over on the other side of the world, and I'm seeing this all over the place in independent news. We won't even talk about the legacy / mainstream media, but I'm talking in independent news mainly. And what the gist of the story seems to be with our truckers in my province. I am not close to Ottawa. I am closer to Winnipeg, Manitoba. I'm 35 minutes away from the Minnesota border. For those of you in the US, I'm about 6.5 hours north of Minneapolis, Minnesota. My city is called Thunder Bay in northwestern Ontario. Anyways, for me to drive to Ottawa, and I have, it would take me probably about 26 hours by car. And the reason why is I don't live in the Arctic, but you have to drive all the way around the Great Lakes. You can't go through them. So that's what the long drive, that's what makes it happen. But if you're going across Canada, you will come through my city. You have to, unless you go around through the US. You can go all around the lakes, then go through the US. Otherwise, you cross right through here. So it's kind of cool. It's a beautiful place. But what I'm finding when I'm seeing these reports is, and it's through no fault of anybody's own, is that it seems to be out there that these truckers are doing this because they're protesting, and I'm going to be very careful with the language I use this evening, the jab, I'll call it. And that is, couldn't be further from the truth. Most of the organizers of this wonderful, peaceful gathering, I'm going to call it, full of love, uh, taking care of your fellow human beings, those that may be homeless. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about that. So they aren't protesting anything except they're protesting what we have all lost as Canadians. And I find a lot of people don't really know, because unless you're talking to somebody directly from whatever country it may be, we have to rely on the information that's provided from wherever we receive our info. So in Canada, what the truckers are standing for, and I just watched a press conference tonight before we went live, and I have to say, you're right, is that within 3 weeks, they have started a movement around the world uniting humanity, and it's peaceful, it's in love, it's in light. They have even gone into, if you know any Canadians, you've heard of Tim Hortons. There's a few Tim Hortons I know sort of petering into or filtering into the US. I've gone to a few in the United States myself. And there was an owner in downtown Toronto or downtown Ottawa that had said, you know, he didn't support this movement. He felt like this was going to ruin his business. He said he has never had so much business in the past 2 weeks with the truckers there, including they came in, they were helping serve coffee, they kept his restaurant clean, they cleaned the snow for him. He said, I have had a complete change of heart. I wouldn't have believed it had you told me. He said it is the best amount of business he has had, more than the whole 2 years past previous. So this is what they're doing. And you may not be hearing this. We're going to get into a little bit. I know I started to say about what they're protesting, but I will get into that. So what they're doing is they are going around and helping the homeless. Crime is down 90% in Ottawa, and it's a pretty big city. The streets are kept clean and swept. There's no garbage anywhere. Anywhere where the truckers or the crowds that are coming there to support them. I do support them. I made this shirt because this is something our lovely leader, I'll say, facetiously put out at the beginning about this organization, which was, this says, I'm a proud member of a small fringe minority with unacceptable views, because that's how it was described by our leader. So everywhere they went, starting out west and forward, you may have seen this. People have united, people have come from all over. It's spread to every single country. Today, I've seen not every country, but quite a few. A massive movement in France. There's in the United States, in Australia. I even seen a group for Czechoslovakia. I could go on and on. Yeah, anywhere pretty well depending on what corner of the globe you're on, something is being organized. And what a beautiful way to do it. We do have a right, if we're in a democratic society, to peacefully voice our concerns, if you will. And I'm going to use the word protest because I can't even call it that. It's a gathering of people, all walks of life, it doesn't matter who you are, what relation, what religion, what nationality you may be. People are uniting, and it's a beautiful thing. Now, we do have a few people on the fringe, of course, which always happens, that try to give things a bad name. There's been a few things happening. Now, what they're protesting, like I said, is what's going on in Canada. So they are protesting, like we were still in lockdown here in Ontario. We had an announcement today that apparently, I believe it's Thursday, they're going to allow us to have, I think, gatherings of 25 at the maximum and so forth. Then I believe it's March the 1st. We no longer have to show our pass, if you will. So that's a really good thing. We still have to wear masks. We've never been able to stop wearing masks where I live. It doesn't matter where you go, you will not be admitted. And being a nurse, I understand the science behind it. I won't say too much about that because that may trigger something. But I encourage you always to do. Hey, Dave, how are you? So nice to see you here. Cathy Bilsky is supposed to be joining me. I haven't heard back from her. She was doing her World Enlightenment. She knows she's going to be on here, and I've sent her the link. So hopefully she'll be able to pop in here. So, like I said, I was talking about we still have to wear the mask, and they're going to reassess that probably about 2 weeks into March. So there's progress, but there's other things behind it. And I encourage you, no matter where you live, no matter what state, what province, what country, to check out the government website of your country. Take a look for, possibly under, could be identification. Just do a little research. And I always say to people, use different search engines because you will be very surprised if you haven't done this, to see what you find on one versus the other. Some of the ones I like to use are DuckDuckGo, but that's not the only one. There's a massive array of search engines you can use, and just take a look and see what you can find. Again, everything I say in the show obviously is my opinion and what I've done through many, many hours of research, including connecting with people from all over the world every single day. And I'm so grateful for some of the groups that I'm in. And again, how I started this show, it's great to be able to connect with people from another country to hear right from them what they're experiencing versus trying to understand through a news report. And most people are quite conscientious, excuse me, but what the problem ends up being is things get twisted. And Dave and I talk quite often. I share things with him. Dave Petrella, everybody, if you haven't met him before, I'm going to give him a shout out. He's been a guest on my show before. He's an amazing scientist, biologist. He's an astrologist. He does incredible birth charts, and I'm telling you, he knows his stuff. So be sure to check him out. He's on most social media platforms, and feel free, Dave, to stick your contact info in there. He's been on my show before. He was just on my partner's show, Dell, who is the host of The Delicious Recipe here on UPRN on Thursday night, starting at 7 p.m. Central. And I believe this week, I could be wrong, but I know he's having Cathy Bilsky. Apparently, I'm supposed to be there. And I heard a little rumor. Now, I haven't heard if it's been confirmed, but even Miss Michelle Desroches may be joining us too. And if you don't know who she has an amazing paranormal show. Well, not quite paranormal. She covers other things with her wonderful co-host, Amelia Pisano, on Wednesday and Thursday nights here. So be sure to check that out. I believe their show starts at 9 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, and we do get along well with all our hosts here on the network. It's like one big happy family. It really is. So, and we come from all over the world. We have some Canadian hosts. We have some from the US. I believe some of our shows that actually stream their shows to our network, they're from all over the world. So we've got some, like I said, we've got something for everybody here. But back to Canada, since I can only speak about Canada being here, I think Miss Cathy Bilsky might be here. Here she is. Hang on. I will add her. Hello. I don't know if I can hear you.
Just my mouth is
I
full of
can hear you.
cookies.
I can hear you. I'm just jabbering away here. I knew you would show up when you had a moment. I already told them all about you, but I'm going to reintroduce you. This is Cathy Bilsky, who is a good friend of mine. She is a host on the network on Friday nights of her own amazing show, Quantum Leap, which starts at 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 p.m. Central. And you'll have to check the time zones depending on where you live in the world. And she is a shamanic practitioner healer. She is an incredible energy. She does incredible energy work. She works with black magic. She removing it, not working with it, removing curses. And she started this incredible healing movement called World Enlightenment. So I was just updating people. I hadn't got to the good part yet about Canada and stuff. What did I miss, Cathy? What did I miss? I'm sure I missed something because she does it all. I already talked about your crystal shop and that you live on the big island in Hawaii. Dave says hi. We've got Dave Petrella.
Hi, Dave. You want to hear something funny?
I do.
Okay, so we did our World Enlightenment
Right.
right before you show. Okay, the chanting. So
Right.
we're all done. Okay, and I got my laptop computer.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to stop the show, right? So I go up to my computer and I keep pressing
Okay.
the get off button and nothing would happen. Okay, no matter how hard I pressed it.
Oh my goodness.
Then my girlfriend goes, "Well, do you want to try the mouse?"
If all else fails.
No, the mouse worked because my computer wasn't one of those. It wasn't a touch computer.
Oh, I gotcha. I gotcha. My laptop is, but I bought it secondhand from a really good provider here in the city. I love them, Marnix. It's two young guys that started this company. Like they will take your phone if it doesn't work, and if they can't fix it, they don't charge you. They'll do
Oh,
pick up stuff, like just provide excellent service. But I've noticed that the trackpad on the bottom, I've never split the laptop apart. Apparently, you can turn it into a tablet and separate the keyboard, but it does have a touch screen. And then I'll get on another computer, like you said, and you'll be going, why doesn't it work?
I just looked it up. And it's like I'm high on energy. Cut me slack, right?
Yes, yes. So, do you want to update people about what's going on with Global Enlightenment, why you're doing it? Or am I putting you on the spot? Do you need a few minutes just to
No,
kind of,
I work with energy, and I've learned that when you call down divine enlightenment, and you put divine in front of it, magic will happen. Okay.
mm-hmm,
Now, lifetimes ago,
mm-hmm,
I went into these priests, but not like the Catholic priests.
mm-hmm.
They told me how they worked with energy. And this was during the Berkeley riots in the United States.
Okay.
They had, it was during the riot, and they had a very small group of people. So
Mm-hmm,
what they did is they walked in a very tight circle, and all they did was call down divine peace. Okay? And he said what happened after that is the energy just came down so strong. It knocked out everybody. Everybody went limp. Okay, anybody who was in that area.
okay.
So I thought, wow, that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm,
So now let's go into the lifetime that I have with kids.
mm-hmm,
So I figured, well, if it worked down there, maybe I can try it with my kids.
mm-hmm.
So when they would go wacko, I
Yeah.
would call them divine peace, divine calm, and depending on how young they were, divine sleep, descend down around you now. And I would just keep chanting. And by golly jeepers, it worked. You go into an airport and you got a screaming baby. Start chanting divine calm, divine peace, divine calm, divine sleep, descend down around you now. And it happens. So what you're doing is you're calling down that aspect of the creator that that person is lacking. And as long as you put divine in front of it, you're calling down a real high energy and you're not manipulating.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So you take that further, and I started it doing worldwide and starting calling down the energy worldwide. And that's working with weather, and it's more complex. But when you do it on a worldwide scale, you just never know how it's going to come out. And I've done a lot of these world enlightenment events.
Mm-hmm.
Can you have enough? No. And I look back and it's like, wow, I must have been building stepping stones.
Mm-hmm.
But after each event, and it would take about a month and a half for the energy to hit. But when it hit, okay, it's like the women's movement. Everybody came out and went, okay, the women not afraid anymore. They're speaking their truth.
Yeah.
And then you would have everybody standing up and calling the police out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one.
I haven't
Now,
got to the big part. I was waiting about what's going on in Canada with the announcement today and stuff. I knew you'd be here, so I was just kind of jibber jabbering and going
okay,
on
well,
and on.
that's the next thing. And the last one we did, and this was on the radio show. This was a big event where many, many people, linked in. Canada went crazy. The truckers awoke and they said, we're not doing this anymore. We see through all your BS and your lies, and
Mm-hmm.
we're just not going to accept this anymore. And this is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And what did they do? God, I wish I was Canadian right now.
Hey,
You are,
I'll send
yeah,
you a
I know,
hat.
and I'm from Michigan.
I'll
So I
send
would
you a hat.
okay, I would love it. I'll rip it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I would sneak my rocks and stones over the Windsor border all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I would do shows in Canada. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when it was a little bit more lax. Okay.
Of
And
course.
they would just look out and they go, okay, got your passport or, your ID. Okay. Got anything in your trunk? No.
No.
Okay. How long are you staying? We're going to go play bingo. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Well, I
Yeah,
have a
like
border
that
like
now.
that. I haven't been over the border. I have so many packages right over the US side because I have a US address. They let us use it. They hang on
Mhm.
to your packages forever and you pay them like $1 or $2, whatever. I know the owner of the store. It's called Ryden's Border Store. She comes to Thunder Bay because it's closer to go to Thunder Bay is a bigger city than to go to Duluth, Minnesota because
Mhm.
it's faster. It's only like 35, 40 minutes. And so I chit chat with her every time when I'm over there, but I have so many packages I need to pick up and I can't get them because I'm not allowed to cross the border. Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys started a major movement, and now truckers all over the world have joined in.
Mm-hmm.
This is a mass consciousness awakening of the
Mm-hmm.
masses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is friggin' huge. Okay.
I
I didn't
talked
start.
about this before you came on because I was mentioning about this new friend I have, Neil, who I met. He's from Scotland, but he lives in Australia and he does resin work. Cathy does a bit of resin work too. She sent me the most beautiful piece. And I always tell you, I have it right by my, I swear to God, Cathy, this piece is shy because every time I try and find it when I'm online, she sent me this most beautiful piece. It's absolutely gorgeous. But every time I try and find it, it's like it hides. She has this massive crystal, but I was telling her about that it was so nice to have a conversation. Oh, oh, I always say I have crystal envy. I've got crystal envy.
Now that's a Buddha.
Mhm.
That's actually a Buddha one. Yeah. Oh,
Wow,
there we go. Okay. It's a Master Blaster.
that's beautiful.
And then this one is just a handheld. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. So, it's massaged like that. Okay.
Oh, I have to hide this from Dell. I told Cathy because he found out that it massages and it works really well. So people that see crystals always think that this is this real woo-woo thing. And then when you start talking to people and they actually maybe have a little interest and they open their minds, I can't tell you the amount of people because we have two main, like a spiritual type store where you could buy these type of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I can tell you so many people that I've sent, go check it out. Just go see how you feel, be open minded, pick up a few. Every single time they message me back and go, what is in this stuff? Like when I held it, my hand was buzzing, it was vibrating, or what have you, right?
Oh my God, you're alive. You're feeling.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I wear this one. I just gave it a new facelift because I didn't know if it was going to work. I watched a YouTube channel video. Sorry, I'm turning it. And I had made a
Nice.
bail for it, but you had to weave it. But I used cheap wire in case I screwed it up. Thank God I noticed that
For
it was
wire. Don't
breaking.
use the word cheap. Use affordable.
Sorry, affordable. Okay. I just thought of that saying. I'm easy, not cheap. Don't know why. I'm not. But anyways, thank God I noticed because this is a Super 7, which Thunder Bay is known very well for. It has 7 different types of crystals, or it's known as a I know you know this, but for our audience, or melody stone. Now you may not be able to see it. I tried not to cover it up. Where are you? He has a name. He's told me his name. No, I don't hear voices. There's a red
Higher.
piece right here. When I
Higher.
use this in healing work, this goes fire red. It changes color and it has a matching stripe right on the back. It heats right up.
Ooh.
hmm Takes away pain. I have used this working with pain. Like I said, that is one of nature's many gifts. We have many gifts from nature, but crystals, yes. I got off track there. Sorry, Kathy. You and I with crystals.
Stoners.
Yeah.
And I meant rock collectors.
hmm But I was going to say that's where I was starting with that. I was talking about this. They had a press conference, the truckers tonight, because I didn't get into the announcement that was made by our prime minister, I'll call him, that he hasn't enacted the War Emergency Act. The only other person that's done it is his father, who was in power for 27 years in Canada. Now, what he's released to the media, though, is that he's enacted it. He can't enact it. It has to go through Parliament. It has to go through a vote. It has to, like, there's time still.
Mhm,
So that's what these guys were saying. And there was two beautiful ladies on there as well. They even this time, because we're a bilingual country,
mhm.
they actually would speak in English and they had 2 translators that would speak it in French for people that were French, which was very kind and they should.
I saw
Um,
the thing of it, and I couldn't see the whole thing. It got up to, God, what's his name? Bill? No.
Pat?
Yeah, it got up to that, and I had to leave.
Okay, well, you had asked me, and I'm going to mention it. Where could you donate if you wanted to? Now, they
Mhm.
gave out an email. I wrote it down. Let me grab it. It's right over there. Hang on one sec. Okay. Because I don't want to give out the wrong email. I'll just grab right now. Okay. Now, what they're doing with this, and what they mentioned, Kathy, why I'm bringing this up is they said in 3 weeks, what they've been able to do through love, peace, unity, and basically light is
Mhm.
heal all the wounds and the division that we've suffered in the last 2 years in 3 weeks, and it's become a global movement. Now they're moving trucks around because they realize they have so many donations of food. There's too
Mhm.
much. So they've been feeding the homeless, housing them, like giving them tents, mitts, clothes, whatever. But there's other parts of the city. It's a big city, Ottawa, that need help. So that's why they're moving some of the trucks around, they said, because they're bringing some of the donations further out from the center of the city. Now, if you want to donate, it's called the Freedom Convoy 05 at gmail.com. I will try and put this into the write up for my show on social media, all the platforms I'm on. The other
Mhm.
thing they're doing, and I didn't get a chance to write the address down, but I will, and I'll add it to the stream wherever this is posted. What they're doing is if people want to donate, they're matching donations or donators with a trucker. So you adopt a trucker or maybe a family.
Brilliant.
So that everybody's taken care of. That's what they wanted to tell people. This is a big scare tactic right now. We have your back. You know what? Stand the line. Like, stay strong, stay with us. You don't have to be afraid. We have your backs. And I really believe it. I I really do. Mm-hmm.
Isn't I heard today that the banks now is this just Canada banks?
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that if anybody donates over $25 to the truckers, that
Mm-hmm.
they're going to close their bank account or confiscate
I
it, or
hadn't heard it, but I would not doubt it. Would not doubt it at all because, as you may have heard, and I know you have, but other people listening, they had over $10 million donated through GoFundMe. That was confiscated by our government, and the truckers are trying to tell people you have to get your money back by, I think it was the 17th and of February, or what they're doing is Canada, the Canadian government took the money and they're, hi, sweetheart, Tiana, I see her, and they're donating it to charities of their choice. And then so they went through the Christian Send Go. It's a funding, and nobody's supposed to be able to touch it. Well, guess what? Government went after, was almost raised in no time, like 4 days, almost 9 million. They went after that and took it too. So they're
yeah,
trying to
you
cut off.
know,
Uh,
that's
mhm,
theft, pure
mhm.
theft. And if you all think that this is just a little taste
I
of
know.
what the banks can do if
Mhm.
we allow them to go through with their digital passports.
Well, it's already coming. It's already coming. And I cannot prove this. And again, I said tonight, a lot of this was my opinion. But I truly believe that all the countries that have already lifted mandates have it ready because I couldn't prove it. So this is just through word of mouth, but I have seen it in British Columbia and I believe it's Manitoba. And it was actually a girl from the US that took the time and did some videos on it. They have it practically ready to roll out. Now I have heard, I've asked somebody to send me the info that gave me this information, and they're very trustworthy. They do their research that as of March, our digital ID is rolling out in Ontario. That's the only reason why things have been lifted. Mm-hmm. So that is happening. And depending on, like I said, my friend Neil, before you came on, Cathy, he was he's lovely, lovely young. He's almost the same age as me. I'm not young, but you're as old as you feel. I always say age is a number. Anyways, he was going with what he was hearing over there. And so I said, hey, can you just hang on a second? Because he was understanding, and I'm seeing independent media get this too, that this is all over protesting the jab, we'll call it. It's not. Most of the organizers are jabbed. This is about getting back our freedoms. And a lot of people don't realize, I started to say Ontario, we are, I think the lockdown is lifted maybe Thursday. Um, in Quebec, they were in basically martial law. I mean, they had a curfew from 10 that started New Year's Eve with almost no notice. You had to be in from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. Um, you couldn't go anywhere, any store, anything if you didn't have your ID on you. The province next to that, if you weren't jabbed, you weren't allowed to buy food. So you couldn't go into a grocery store, anywhere. So you pretty well either had to get it ordered if you had the money, or if you knew somebody that could go and pick up food for you. That's just a few things. So I am concerned. And one thing I've learned, and I think Spirit has shared this with me, I think 2022 is about unveiling which was once hidden. And that's kind of what the definition of apocalypse is, right? It's kind of like it's not the end of the world, but it's the end of the old way. And I really feel this because I see it more and more every day. Things are unveiled. We're seeing more things. More things are coming out. If you're open-minded to it and you're willing to look beyond the end of your nose, I say. I sent you a good video, by the way, from the US today with Ben Swan, and he's interviewing one of the top women from OSHA. And she had some amazing news, what she is doing. They're holding all of is it your deputy attorneys? The ones, it's the attorneys that for the state. It's a state attorney that has to go after and prosecute. So they basically they are going through all the states and they are holding them all accountable, even at a local level, with some arrests coming for The Short Little Man. There's a song by 5 Times August about him. That's been the doctor at the head of this that likes to pretend he's God, and many of the players. So they're aware of this. But the one thing I wanted to mention, Cathy, when you were talking about energy and about what had happened at Berkeley, and for people that don't believe this, right, you can break it down to science that everything is energy. I know you know this, but one of the laws is it can neither be created nor destroyed. It can be transferred from one place to another. And then if you're really a scientist, you can get into quantum physics and things that are really kind of proving a lot of these things. But if you don't believe it, if you were ever a fan of Art Bell of Coast to Coast AM, there is an infamous episode where there was no rain in Texas. Like they were in a bad, bad situation. And he had a huge listening audience, and he held, I think, a moment of 30 to 45 seconds silence, and no rain was forecast. There was no way. I mean, there were fires everywhere. Next morning, massive rain. They couldn't believe where it came from. This is just from people focusing for 35 to 40 minutes.
Now, I've done that before they did a major censorship on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
At one time, I could post on 200 groups a day.
Wow.
Okay, so now I know that was at least a good hour, but I considered that service.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I could do that 3 days in a row,
Right.
I could stop fires. I could bring rain. I could do amazing things. So now
it's powerful. Mm-hmm.
Twitter has, not Twitter, but Facebook, I think I can do maybe 30 groups a day before they slap my hand. And it's not the same. Now we are also working, we've got the harp, we have imitation weather going on. So it's not like the elementals are at total control, which they're not. So not only are we working with the elementals, but you got to work with the machines that are creating the off-balance weather.
Can we talk more about this? Because, a lot of people haven't heard this about elementals and about the machines that we talked about. You reminded me about, remember, it's an elemental. So would you mind sharing that with people so they could understand where we're kind of coming from with this? And it does work, even if you don't believe in it. As long as you're coming from a place, like you said, divine, putting in front of it, love, light, with good intention, it can't hurt, right? All we need is your energy. Put your voice to it. But sorry, go ahead, Cathy.
All right. Well, it's my truth and my belief that when the okay, now what is an elemental?
Yeah.
Okay. Everything you see is an elemental except your soul. Okay. Your body is a group of elementals working together. Okay. Guns are taken from the earth, which is an elemental, and reshaped and restructured. Okay. Now, when God created the planet, everything was beautiful. Okay. And they
Are you still there?
back.
Okay, yeah, it was freezing. I saw that. Thanks.
Okay. So the elementals, when God created the planet, everything was pristine and beautiful. And then Satan came down, and the elementals had to mirror and had to copy some ugly things. And it's also my understanding that once a black magician has control of elementals that work with them all the time, they're stuck with that black magician until a white magician can come and set them free. All right. So one of the things I've been taught is how to work with weather, how to cut them free, how to cut the elementals free from hurting and harming.
Because everything's inherently good, right? So it's kind of like it would be, and people that don't believe in this kind of stuff, we are surrounded with it. Take a look at advertising, take a look at signs, take a look at the colors. And again, it sounds crazy because we've never been exposed or been taught about this. But when you start digging, and if this intrigues you, please, I encourage you, I know Cathy will too, research it for yourself and see what, it may sound crazy to you hearing it the first time, but it's not. Carry on,
So,
Cathy. Sorry.
okay, one of the things you can do when you work with the elementals is you can cut them free from their energy sources ahead of time. So now, being on an island in the Pacific, I live in Hawaii, and when I got here, many of the Hawaiians had dreams of tsunamis and all this other stuff. So I would start working with the water elemental, cutting it free from any tsunamis ahead of time, if it was commanded ahead of time. And truthfully, what tsunamis we have hit maybe have been, like 5 inches, 6 inches, and we have waves bigger than that. Okay.
Yeah, you do.
Make a big deal out of it. So one day I'm sitting and I'm watching the news, and God will give you some wonderful examples of where you've affected something just to keep you going. Okay. So they were talking about this cruise ship in the middle of the ocean, and all of a sudden this rogue wave comes out of nowhere. Okay. Now, to me, I am going, who is playing with the harp? Now, harp is a military installation, and they screw with weather. Okay. And, when it's like New Orleans, they had 2 hurricanes at exactly the same place. That's not Mother Nature. It doesn't work like that. Okay. So now this rogue wave comes out of nowhere. Almost tips the cruise ship over, but didn't. So now what that told me is the water elemental was not going to cooperate, and it chose not to kill all those people. Now, another fun one is working with satellites.
Oh, I knew you were going to tell this one.
And it's, I work with satellites that are not being used for humanity. All right, now, way back when, one of the first times we tried, someone went up into space and put the Hubble telescope in backwards.
Oh.
I know.
That's a costly mistake.
Job, right? And he's like, oops. Anyway.
Yep.
So now what happened recently is Mother Nature took out a lot of Elon Musk's satellites through electromagnetic energy. And I'm just looking at it and I'm going, Elon, God wants her sky back.
I know you said that.
So, all these satellites go down. And one of the nice energy works I love to do is imagine the satellites get so full of magnetism that they start magnetizing the space junk to them, knocks them out of balance, out of orbit, just enough so they don't function. And if they're going to come down, let them come down where no one will be hurt or harmed. And like I said, you keep putting it out there and the energy out there, and you really don't have a clue to where you're going to be effective.
I agree with you.
So it's very exciting.
And the thing I find too, if you've never heard this before, especially when you come from a scientific background, I come from a big pharma and a science background, but I've always been open-minded. And it brings to mind the discussion I had last night with my new little friend there in Australia. And we got into a really interesting discussion because he had shared, some of the education he has and, with science and psychology. And I respect what people have to say, even if it may not be my truth or my experience, because we can learn from one another. And then I shared with him our paranormal survivor episode, and he's typing back after 5 minutes, I think I watched this. But now that talking to me, right, versus, because reality TV is not reality. I'm sure most people know that, but believe me, a lot of people don't. And, I'd sent him some of the pictures and I got dog hair in my mouth, sorry. And I'd sent him a couple of the recordings. And I said, these recordings were not planned. I called into a friend of mine showing, and actually give him a shout out, Jason Bland for Paranormal Soup on Sunday nights, streams here on YouTube and Facebook. I think he made the number, he's pretty high up this year in top 50 podcasts to watch, like with Rush Limbaugh, I think at the top. Like just meaning the name was very well known. So he's an excellent host. He's got excellent show. He's helped our family out a lot when we were sort of trying to figure out what things were. And, once people, I think, feel in a safe space, like if they're going to be open-minded about it, or you break it down to science for some people, right? Because I don't know if it's just me, but I meet a lot of people. I need it to make sense with science first before I'll consider it. So that's why I always go back to everything's made of energy, right? And it is. We're made of energy. We have our own electromagnetic field ourselves, right? Mm-hmm.
That's my fun way to explain rocks. I explain it the guy way. It's like all rocks and stones, everything has energy and vibration. When you understand the energy and vibration of that stone, now you have a tool. Ooh.
Ooh,
Ooh, tools. Ooh.
tools. I
Okay.
like it.
But that's true. I mean, it's what we used to use. Great great grandpa did. I mean,
All the
you
time.
can go to the corner store and say, "Oh my God, please give me all the pharmaceuticals. It's going to kill
Mm-hmm.
me. The ones with the worst side effects, I'm in."
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, they use rock stones, herbs,
Mm-hmm.
food. You know,
And like I said, I come from a
and
big pharma.
peroxide.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, it cut out for a minute. Go
I
ahead,
said
Kathy.
hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide, if you all don't know about it, is an incredible tool to have in your earth
Mm-hmm.
kit.
Mm-hmm.
What it does, and this is what the doctors used in the early 1900s, they used peroxide for everything until Rockefeller created pharmaceuticals. And
I
then they
know.
stopped using it because they're not making money from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what it is, it's free oxygen therapy. You know, you put it in your bathtub and it'll reoxygenate your body. If you've got lung congestion, if you've got really bad asthma, and you put a little bit of peroxide in a bottle, spray bottle, and spray it into the lungs, and
Mm-hmm.
you're going to cough up all this crap.
Mm-hmm.
And listen to me. And people have gotten off of oxygen tanks in 6 months by doing this method.
Well, that's where the name quack medicine came from. Like this type of naturopathic, allopathic was the way always until exactly what you mentioned. And then it became, I think the name just was started there with it's nothing but a bunch of quackery. It's quack medicine and to discredit it all. And you know what? And again, now we're getting really deep into the woo woo here, I'll say. But I've always known as a nurse, and especially working out in the community, I didn't see anybody like in the hospital. You can call other nurses. What do you think? Then you call the doctor. What do you think this needs? Whatever, right? When you're on your own in the community, you're on your own. So when I would call a doctor, they would just say to me, you could take phone orders. What do you want? What do you need? Okay, yeah, write it down, sign my name, kind of thing. But I've always known, even at home, when I treat my own family, obviously if it's acute or it's life threatening or something, I don't think I'm a doctor. That's not what I'm saying, but I kind of innately know. And it's like, I just sort of know what it needs. And I've actually been shown that in my past life, many of them, I've done this. You've probably yourself with past lives done this many times, right, Kathy? Because you know about many of yours as well.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Well, we don't wake up in this lifetime and go, "No, I think I'll be a healer."
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you have done that. And there's so many. Like, it's the same thing. You know, if you decide to get into gardening, you've done it before.
Yes.
You know, all of a sudden you have a passion to do tarot cards. You've done it before.
Anything in life, or like you see these children that are prodigies over the years. There's a good chance they knew how to do it in a past life. And
But
that's why, because a lot of people don't believe in past lives. But I am telling you, we go on forever. We're just here in this body having a human experience right now. We do go on forever. I think we lost Kathy. She must have went to find Tiana.
I got into something and it's like, what are you doing? And no, you can't. She's like, no, I'm going to. It's like, no, you're not.
You
No.
should see if you see her, the full gorgeousness of her. Oh my goodness, she is so
Okay,
cute.
look
Oh,
at her.
look at how cute
Okay.
she is. Isn't she
She,
adorable?
she is so cute. I don't have to teach her any tricks because she's just cute.
She
I
is.
look
She's
at this.
adorable.
I know, right? And I will tell you, she's full figured. It's not
Yeah.
that she's not. She's full figured.
Yeah. I don't think think she's fat. She's just fluffy. That's
Oh
what
my
she is.
God.
She's just fluffy.
No, she's full figured.
Okay, we'll give her that. There's nothing wrong with being curvy. So
Grab the rest of my cookie.
Dave commented and said hydrogen peroxide, great. Now you know who was recommending that as a physician was Dr. Christiane Northrup. Using it if you can get something called a nebulizer. They're pretty easy to get. You don't need a prescription usually in most countries. I think Amazon even sells them. Not, I mean, sometimes you got to go to the big box store, right? And she was suggesting exactly that, but to get food grade. She had suggested for when you inhale to the lungs. So that's what hers was. We'll share what you think. We're talking about it.
That's wonderful, but if all you can get is the really cheap stuff, then freaking use. I use it. I don't do put the food grade in my bathtub.
I don't either.
I put the regular 2% hydrogen peroxide that I buy at Walmart because it's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And I go in and I buy it like a dozen at a time because Walmart's 45 miles away from me.
Oh, wow.
So when you buy them, when you're getting a dozen and they're looking at you, and it's like, I love you, but I'm really not going to explain what it is
You
right now.
shouldn't have to.
Well,
That was
but
the
people
other
are
thing I was talking
curious.
about last night is, and I don't think I'm naive about people, but it's just that I really don't understand all of this. Like, I think a lot of this too is being unveiled about who people really are. And part of it is people feeling the need, like to hide behind a keyboard if they don't like what you're saying and they gotta all this word vomit and venom. And it's like, if you don't like it, just you're okay, move along. You can make a comment on your page, I want to keep this space high vibe. And if people, I think, would just treat each other the way they would like to be treated, like if you could put yourself in their shoes, right?
I know, but when you get on social media, except especially Twitter, it kind of brings the sarcasm out.
Mm-hmm. I
My
just, you know
God.
what? I tell myself this. I don't even know where I heard it. It's not my quote, but when I see something that kind of triggers me and I think about it and I just breathe and I tell myself, not my circus, not my monkeys.
God, I should have you on my shoulder saying that, okay? That would keep me out of a lot of trouble. And I do the same. It's like, okay, I'm not going to get into this. No, not gonna. Or if I feel it's going in the wrong way, I'll just, do something where I can't follow the thread anymore
Mm-hmm.
and just let them go their way. And if they're too mean, I just block them.
Well, you
It's like,
have to. We're allowed to have boundaries, all of us. It's just I've really been seeing this, and I mean we talk all the time off air, but on air here, I've really been seeing this, and the more I'm paying attention to something, maybe that's why I'm noticing it. But it's many people that are out there that have these labels, or they're whomever they are, right? It could be just everyday people too. People even working in our field. And I always say it's not my job to judge, but truth is unveiling itself. Like, don't even have to look for it, really. It's just coming
true.
out
But
there.
my favorite saying right now is it's complicated.
Yeah, that's a good. Facebook used to have that. Remember the beginning when you only had the one page? Because I've been on Facebook since it started, and they'd ask you about your relationship status, and you had I think it was a single, married, divorced, or it's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's right.
again, you look at people and you really don't know people. And, there's good and bad. We've all screwed up.
Of course, yeah.
And, our lives are complicated. There's nothing simple.
Hmm. I think that's what I don't know. I really believe I got this from spirit too, that, over the past 2 years, every year sort of had a theme, if you will. And it's literally, I'm just gonna say it. You're getting red pilled, whether you want to or not. It's coming out. It's growing too big. And the beauty in all of this that I love what's happened is the world is watching Canada right now. And what's happened, it's been so censored that people haven't been able to see what's going on. But you can see exactly what's going on because there's some
You
pretty big places covering it.
you have to know people to know what's going on. I had some young kids come in, and again, I live on the big island of Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
and try to get a kid from taking off the M thing. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
very, very hard, and I like to try to reprogram them so they understand that this is not natural and they can take it off, and they need to talk to their friends about stop complying
Mm-hmm.
because of how things are happening in the
Lots
world.
of kids are. Mm-hmm.
I know, but
Mm-hmm.
I talked to him about Canada, and
I'm
they
talking
were
about the
just like,
US too, like
well,
big groups of them. Mm-hmm.
I know, but right now you guys get top bill, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling them of the wonderful things, and they're blown away. And it's like, and I can take what Canada's doing to
Mm-hmm.
how Hawaiians would um, confront a situation. The same thing in
Mm-hmm.
love. You get together and you have a good time. You play music. You stand for yourself. You do it in love. You
Mm-hmm.
don't do it in violence. So and then to get these kids share something that's happening on such a world scale. And no, it's like, go Google it, share it with your friends, look what's happening. And no, we're not getting it here. They're not talking about it. That's why I'm telling you, go to Google, you'll find it.
Mm-hmm.
Trump 2022, it's there. You will be happy and thrilled.
Mm-hmm.
So it's exciting.
I am so proud of kids. And like I say, we're mostly hearing about it in North America. But these kids are starting to stand up. And I'm glad I've even seen parents supporting them. I would be behind my children all the way if they were in school. Didn't matter. I support them always. And as most mothers and parents and fathers do, I understand not everybody, but there's a lot that do. And these kids are all getting in a group. There's somebody sent me this video. I think it was on TikTok, and there had to be this 12th grader. I think there you could tell by the authority and the language. Like he said, everybody. I'll say the word he said. He said, "Shut up! You need to listen to me." And he's explaining everything. This is how it's going to work. This is what we're going to do. This is where we're going to go as a group. And we're hoping they're going to send us home. And there was a whole group of kids there, all listening, and they all joined together. And the beautiful thing about it is, Cathy, and I always say this, and I know most people do when you get to be around our age, is our kids are our future. So they are learning from this, they are seeing this. Even in Canada, for an awakening point, I didn't know till a month ago, we have no power as the people to remove a leader ever, 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 ever. There's a viral video going around. I was on the phone with the Governor General's office, which is the representative of the Queen in Canada. She's supposedly next in line to where the Prime Minister is, right? And you have to call this number right away and register that you want to put in a vote of no confidence against our leader. And they recorded the phone call and the whole bit, right? And the lady was so nice and okay, yes, sir, yes, I'll take your name. Yeah, okay, thank you so much for calling. She
Mhm.
probably ripped it up after because nobody read the link with the article. Because if you did, we have no right. It has to go right through legislation for them to do that. So the next time, when we will come out of this, humanity will prevail. Always. The truth always wins. I've been using the analogy of you've got a pitch black room. Can't see even your hand in front of your face, but you've got a match and you light it. And how far that one little match goes with light. Now imagine the world, what we're doing right now. So
Mhm.
it's so powerful. So that's why I keep saying we need to wake up. Like none of us never needed to know these things, right?
Well, it's we didn't, but this is consciousness,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's seeing it. So when we do the enlightenment work,
Mm-hmm.
what it does, and we also focus on those that need it the most.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does that mean? Nazis, reptilians,
Mm-hmm.
politicians, the WEF, the 1%, our
Mm-hmm.
families, ancestors, like there's over 41 different chants we do. And we do more because then we add in. But what it's doing, it's sending out the energy. So those that are ready to tip, into the light and reconnect to Creator. It's giving them that energy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was working with the homeless in 1988. It was the time of the harmonic convergence.
Okay.
Okay. Now, for those of you that don't know what the harmonic convergence was, it was created by a man named Jose Arguelles. And it was basically, I think it was the beginning of the Mayan calendar.
Okay.
Okay. And he had the attention of the whole world. The whole world. Now, I'm a quantum leap person, okay? So then he comes out and says, blah, 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 yeah, but it's just a stepping stone. And I'm going, oh my God, stepping stone, no, do more than that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now I'm working with the homeless in LA, downtown LA.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time period, no one cared about the homeless. If you said the word homeless, their eyes would glaze over. They don't care. Matter of fact, somebody gave our crew, they went and did a event for us. They lost money. They said they'd never lost money before. It was an event for the homeless, and they lost money. Okay. So before the harmonic convergence, and again, when people partook in this, they did whatever they wanted. They danced, they sing. It was very scattered. In an energy, they were coming together in a very scattered way. Does that make sense? Okay. So before, again, the harmonic convergence, nobody cared. The day after, the very next day, we had people come into the campground looking to adopt people, homeless, to into their homes and give them a new life. So what I saw at the very base level were people that had a consciousness awakened already, but it tipped them, so it opened up their hearts, so now they would come and see how they could help other people.
They took action instead of being cognizant and conscious of the issue. Instead of saying somebody needs to do something, they realized, hey, I'm that somebody.
Yes, absolutely. It also, and if you've ever worked with the homeless, it's one of the most hardest thing you can ever do, because they are not, I put myself on the street to learn what it was like to be homeless in downtown LA. That was fun.
Wow.
I know, go big or go home, right?
Right. But you walked a mile in people's shoes. That's one of the most important things I said from my childhood. I think my father taught me, because there's always a reason, and this came from having a son with autism, for behavior. Behavior does not happen out of the blue. Even if someone tries to explain to you what their reasoning is, that's their truth. But they just didn't pop up all of a sudden and decide, I'm going to be homeless, or I'm going to be whatever.
No.
Good for you, Cathy. I can't even imagine how difficult that was.
Well, what I also saw is, wonderful people.
Yes.
And when you're down at that level and you have whatever, you start with, it will get stolen. You will lose everything you have, and each time you lose it, you go down further in the quagmire. Okay, so now all you think about is survival.
Right.
You do not think about being connected to the Creator. The Creator doesn't exist. You are on your basic level. Okay. So I got burned out working with the homeless. It's very hard to do it on one-on-one. We actually, the group that I was with, were actually hiring homeless people to work. Okay. The catch is if they didn't stay in their job for 30 days, you did not get paid. So these people, bless their hearts, they would stay in the jobs long enough to get one paycheck, then they're gone.
Yeah.
Okay. So, to get burned out and keep working and trying to help people, and you're not getting anything for it. It was very trippy. One of the wonderful things, again, and it's working with weather. Okay. there was a lot of tents on the beach, okay, homeless tents. And the city decided that they were going to remove everybody, of course, and the rumor was that there was going to be people with guns and the
Mm-hmm.
homeless was going to resist and all this. So that night before I prayed,
Mm-hmm.
and I prayed and I asked God to bring in rain. It rained so hard the next day, the homeless got washed off the beach and they just said, okay, we'll leave. So
It's
it was
taken care of.
peacefully. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I learned that it's very difficult on a one-to-one, and you're not getting anywhere. It's burned out. That I can help people more on an energy level
Right.
than and bless those people that are working with them on the ground level. Thank
I
you that
have.
you did that.
I
It's
almost did not go work in the community. I'd come from the NICU, labor and delivery, maternity, but this was a day job. And I had a small child at the time. I wasn't going to be working every weekend. I wasn't working 12, 18-hour day shifts, and I took it. And but when I got hired, and another time we'll talk about the karma, how I got hired. It was very funny. My father still loves to tell this story, but kind of through a punishment through volunteer work I had to do for was never a bad kid. I didn't even know what alcohol was, and I drank and got caught when I was 15. And because I had stolen from society, my father told me I had to give back. And so I volunteered at a nursing home, got hired at this nursing home at the beginning of nursing. Anyways, I'm getting off track here. So I had led a pretty cushy life. I mean, not that I hadn't been aware of people, having difficulties. And then I found out where I was going to be working because it all ties into how I got this job in the community. That's why I mentioned earlier. Anyways, so when I went in, I found out I was going to be working in the most dangerous part of town, most low income. I was on my own. I only went into my office every 2 weeks. You're supposed to give them an order of what your calls are that you're going to, but if somebody calls you and they need you right away, you got to go. And you had an area that I ran. I almost didn't take that job. And I have to tell you, I thank God every day I did, because what it taught me about people, what it taught me about myself, what it taught me about culture. I mean, there were so many life lessons. It broke my heart when they switched my area. I'd been in it for almost 3 years. And the lessons I learned will stay with me till the day I die and probably well beyond. So I hear you. And it's hard. It's hard. And you know what? You wish you could save everybody. You wish you could help everybody. They had some of my greatest teachers, Cathy, there, with First Nations people. And as they got to know me, they were leery of me, and I can't blame them. But I had to be there for IV therapy there. And you're there for like 2 or 3 hours, right? Like, what are you going to do? Just sit in silence? And so
mm-hmm.
we got talking about culture. I understood things now about why a First Nations person may not look you in the eye right away. And, because part of their culture is the eyes are the windows to the soul. They don't know you. And, us as the Caucasian white people walking in and like, we need eye contact, you can see how obtrusive or intrusive and disrespectful that could be. So
Mm-hmm.
I hear you. I hear you. And it wasn't on the same level as what you did. But I'm telling you, this was in the 90s. Some of those people still stay with me every day. Many I lost with palliative care. And one of them in particular had nobody. Was I allowed to do this? No. Did I want to go down to that area after dinner one night on Father's Day? No, but I had my dad come with me. My dad was crying when we left, and my dad wasn't a tearful man. And he was one of 17 children. So it wasn't like he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. But this
Wow.
one particular man just touched my heart so much, and he had nobody. It was such a touching moment. I mean, two men in tears. They met for the first time. I was in tears, but it was a beautiful thing. We had more than enough food. We had leftovers. I knew he wouldn't have dinner, so we brought it down there. But they
Oh,
almost became like family. And as a nurse, you're always told, if you're getting too close to people, it's time to basically cut the ties. You have another nurse come in, because then you can't be professional. We were taught this in school.
I
No
know, but
emotion.
That's the reptilian way.
But it's wrong because
Exactly,
mm-hmm,
exactly, it's wrong. And I go get my teeth fixed in Mexico.
mm-hmm,
First, I can't afford the United
I
States.
hear you.
Okay, okay. So I went down to Mexico, and I had crowns in my mouth that were 32 years old. Okay, I needed an overhaul. My front tooth was cracked, and it was a crown. I literally glued it together and stuck it back in there until I could get it
Mm-hmm,
real teeth.
mm-hmm.
So I had 22 crowns put in. I had 3 teeth
Wow.
pulled, 2 root canals, okay, a back bridge
Mm-hmm.
for under 5,000, and they did it in a week. Now that would
Wow.
have been over $40,000 in the United States, and it would have taken probably over a year.
Mm-hmm.
They also guarantee their work. So when I had a little pocket, I went back to Mexico. They paid for my hotel and they fixed it for free. Unheard of in the United States. Okay, we
Wow.
worked on it till it was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this time I went back just last year because my back bridge broke.
Mm-hmm.
2 back bridges for $800. Okay, the airfare cost me 800. Yeah, the hotel was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still much cheaper to go there, and they're human. They care about you. They want your comfort. And the first time the doctors here put me in shock,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and trauma, where your body just shakes, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in the dental chair there in Mexico, and they literally gave me Valium.
No,
My
but to make you more comfortable, because when you don't have all those stress hormones going through your body, you heal so much better and quicker. Recovery is faster. And I'm a nurse, I'm not a doctor, and I know this. So if I know this, doctors know this.
You don't get Valium here in the United States. They don't care. If you go into shop after the dental work, if you're lucky, you'll get a glass of orange juice.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave it to me before he
Mm-hmm.
started the work because I started shaking in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
So it was amazing, and each person, each doctor that they had there was an expert, and like I said, it was done in a week, and it was the most amazing. I'm not afraid of dentists anymore.
That's good.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I wouldn't dream of giving anybody here money. So,
We
and
need that human element is what I'm trying to say. Because I went to university for nursing for my degree. So the first 2 years were spent, communication skills, building a therapeutic relationship, never mind all the heavy science and all the other nursing courses. And then when they would say that you couldn't have a therapeutic relationship with a patient if you became emotionally involved. And I understand about having professionalism, but we need to have humanity when we're caring for fellow human beings. And it's the same thing nowadays, like the one thing I loved about the community, if I didn't want to take a lunch break, I didn't have to take it at the end of the day. If I had time, I rarely took one, but there were certain people I had on my caseload that they had nobody. Nobody was coming in their home. They were so seriously ill. I have gone into people's homes and made them breakfast because there was nobody there. That's not my job, but I'm giving them a shot of insulin. I'm going to run out the door and there's nobody there to feed them. So I did it. That's what I loved about it. I could rearrange my day. There were certain people when I got married. I had more patients at my wedding. I didn't invite them, but they all came to the church. Just like, honestly, there's such beautiful people out there. And I think we're losing this with the internet about the connections. This is why this is so important, talking about these things, this movement. Mm-hmm.
but again, there's reptilian base,
Mm-hmm.
which is the medical system in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got the human base. And
Mm-hmm.
again, there is a difference. And once you've experienced a human doctor, you don't ever want to go
I
back.
had one. I had one.
You know?
I have some of my life back because of her. I was almost in bed for 20 years with my back, and she used to call me her sister, and she would always hope I'd come in late, and we'd talk because she knew I would know where she's coming from. And when she first got to know me, because she wasn't from this country, and she just said, "This is just so foreign to me. Like, we do, it's family." And I was divorced, and explaining all this stuff, and just a beautiful soul. She ended up moving. She's back in this city again, but she's got teenagers, so she's a hospitalist. So that's what she needs to do. I understand it, but I miss her dearly. Every promise she ever made to me and every patient she had, she kept it. She always had time, and everybody's pretty respectful. If the doctor's busy, you're not going to spend an hour in there chit-chatting. You're in there. I don't like going to the doctor anyways. You're in and out. I'm not telling people not to go to the doctor. That's just my experience. But when you do, and I actually have said this to so many people, Cathy, and I know I'm gonna always say, focus on what you want to see, not what you don't. I would love to see as a prerequisite before you become involved, especially with healthcare, dentistry, as a nurse, that you have had to be on the receiving end of something like what you went through. Not somebody just going into ambulatory care or emerge, but you're actually a patient in that bed. You have no medical knowledge, the smells, the strangeness of it all, not knowing what's going on, the fear that you have. Usually people are in pain, and so on and so forth, because those are the people that when you run into someone like that, they get it. They really get it.
Absolutely. But that's not taught. All they're taught is to sit in front of the computer and figure out what drugs they should give you. And that is inbred in them. Unless, they have this epiphany going, I can't do this. And then they get into the alternative, which is a real medicine. What they're learning is the alternative. But this is how reptilian, upside down everything is.
But the thing is, too, people can do this, and again, obviously, I would tell you that I'm not prescribing here. We're just sharing experiences here or knowledge that we've used ourselves. But if this intrigues you, even if you think this sounds crazy, take a look into it. Because think about this: how do you think our ancestors survived? They had. I really believe our Creator has given us everything we need on this planet to keep ourselves healthy and whole and what have you. I do.
I'm not going to brag, and God, please don't test me on this. But I haven't been sick at all through all of this. What we've gone through, I don't do doctors.
No, I don't care to go either.
The one time I went into the doctor and I had to have my cataract surgery. And when you go in for cataract surgery, all you need is your heart checked. Okay, that's it. So, and this was the first clue. Now I'm allergic to penicillin. I haven't touched penicillin since 71. Okay, so now I get into the doctor and the nurse is doing all the information. She goes, "Oh, penicillin. What are you allergic to? Penicillin." I go, "Yeah." "How long ago since you had it?" And I go, "Well, in 71, the doctor told me to run like the wind if anybody came near me." I believed them. And she looks at me and goes, "I wonder how you would react now." And I looked at her and I go, "Honey, I'm not your guinea pig today, okay?"
Good for you.
Oh my God.
Say that.
Good question.
Never had an anaphylactic reaction. I have. I know what it feels like.
Okay, so now I get in there. Okay, now I haven't seen a doctor in 20 years. Okay, and they walk in and they go, "Oh, you haven't had your shots." I go, "Do I need that for cataract surgery?" "No." "Okay, next. You haven't had a pap smear." "Do I need that for cataract surgery?" "No." "You haven't. Do I really need this for cataract surgery?" "No." "All right, we're not happening." Okay, just let's the heart, right? Let's do the heart and be done. So I go into a doctor's office and I tell them what I will allow them to do. That I'm not. Oh yeah, and it shocks them, and they look and I go, And I love it when the insurance companies call me up and you know, they go, well, we want to put you on a patient plan, okay, to manage your medication. And I just go, have you really looked at my plan? I don't do meds. I'm healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know what to do with me.
See, now our system is different up here. Mind you, we still do need to have a secondary insurance for most things. But that's just it, right? Or the things that I marveled at is when I would run into these like 95, 98-year-old people still doing everything that they did back when they were 20 years old. And so, of course, when you're sitting and visiting, right, whether it's a health supervision or whether it was an IV or something, you get chit-chatting. So what was your life like? Like, I always love to talk to people and find out their story. And how did you manage to stay so healthy? And, you know, it's quite not what people always think, but it's about keeping your mind active, you know, trying to eat healthy. Some people didn't, some people drank and smoked and whatever, right? But the
Mm-hmm,
thing is, they were active and they were active with their minds.
mm-hmm,
That's
mm-hmm.
mainly what it was, is getting outside, getting fresh air, getting going for a walk, meeting with people that support you and love you if you don't, going to a seniors place, but really connecting basically.
That you keep your purpose. You have
Hmm.
a purpose. Okay,
Yeah.
when you've lost that purpose, everything goes.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, you have no more interest. You know,
Hmm.
you exist.
But I
So
think this is what it's all about, the way this conversation is going. So when we go back to world enlightenment, why it's so important, because what I had said when you first came on is, you know, even if somebody doesn't believe in this, but you see what's there and you're willing to come with an open mind, with love in your heart, and you want things to change for the better where you are, you can't hurt to do it, is what I say to people. And I think people will be pleasantly surprised when they see what happens, because most people believe in coincidence, right? It has to be a coincidence. Well, when it starts happening over and over and over and over, you can't even explain coincidence anymore. Am I right?
absolutely. And I
Mm-hmm.
have to say, I've been doing this over 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
38 years. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
started, I was one, no. Um,
Uh-huh.
and I own a rock shop. This is what I do. I sell rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And 30 years ago, people would come into my store around Christmas time and they're going, oh, yeah, we don't give rocks for Christmas. Why would you give rocks for Christmas? But this is where the consciousness was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My business, my store, I offer healing products,
Yes, you
okay?
do.
My rocks and stones are tools.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not spiritually awakened at all, you're going to see them as just rocks, okay? Um, Quick example, I was with my son, and he was like 10 years old, and in Michigan, and there's the most incredible sunset you ever saw. You know, of course, it's kind of polluted there, so we have good sunsets, right? So, so I'm going, oh my God, Kurt, yeah, Kurt, look at this. Isn't this the most wonderful sunset you ever saw? And he looks at me and goes, Mom, don't you know, just cosmic dust.
Out of the mouth of babes.
What? Okay, well, you're not quite an awakened soul yet, are you?
Yeah.
Because you're not seeing the beauty and you're getting into your left brain logic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, working with energy, and you know, I'm into practical application. So, and learn by doing. All right. Um, and again, you know, when I was learning how to work and call in divine energy, I thought,
Mm-hmm.
you know, this it was new. So my son was 10 years old. He was sitting in the car, and again, we're in Michigan, and this is winter. And he wasn't very nice at 10. Okay. And he was angry, and you know, the most awful things came out of his mouth, just that he was unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm driving, and all I could think of is like, oh my God, if I could put you out on the corner, I would, but they would
Yeah.
put me in jail for it. So
Yeah.
I can't. So what I started doing, I started imagining him in this pink bubble, okay? And I literally just started calling down divine peace, divine calm, divine niceness descend around you now. And from the and in my mind, I would chant, love, 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 keeping that high energy. Within 2 minutes, he shifted. He shifted his energy. He started laughing at himself. And I went, oh, this is pretty cool.
There's
Okay.
something to this.
This. So the next time I tried it, I was working and I was doing setups. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked in, the manager was there, and he literally started ripping a new one over me because he thought I did it wrong. So I let him just talk till he was done. And then I looked at him and I said, I'm really sorry, but I didn't do any of this. It wasn't my fault.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to go back and do my work. So I just sent him love, just the love energy. Within 5 minutes, he came and apologized to me.
Aww.
But that is also how powerful the energy of love is, because when you send it out, wherever that person is, if he's in anger, he is lacking something of the divine in him, which has pulled him down into that negativity. So when you start calling down that divine energy, you're rehooking them up to the Creator, and even with them using just love, you're helping them shift. You're surrounding them in that love, where they either shift or they become your friends.
Well, you know what I do? I'm going to try some of this now that I know you. I want to share one thing that I'd love for you to talk a little bit, if you would, please, about the violet flame and Saint Germain. But when I'm out as a crystal Reiki, it was really funny. My eldest son was with me, and he's an adult now, but he was in his early 20s, and we were waiting. This is before what we've gone through the last 2 years when you could go into a doctor's office. And we're sitting there, and this girl is losing it. And it's a small room. She is screaming and slamming things. And this receptionist there is a man. He is so sweet. That poor guy. He had the patience of Job with her. Really, he did. So I'm sitting there, and I start very discreetly. I'm holding my hand up so people can see. I start drawing the triangle, inner healing, outer healing, like just very discreetly. So my son texts me, "Are you doing crystal Reiki?" And I said, "Yes, I am." So what does he do? He starts doing it, and exactly what you said, right? We're sending energy, divine love and light. I always say I'm just the mailman. It's not me, just making that connection. That's all it is. And she deflated just like a balloon too. All of a sudden, just started to calm down. Within about 5 minutes, she was stopped yelling, stopped banging the counter. And again, had she maybe it run its course? No, it was literally like watching. The only way to describe it, and I know you know what I'm talking about too, it's like a balloon that's just ready to burst, and all of a sudden, it's just like somebody took a couple pins, and it just like, it just calmed right down.
Because you reconnecting her to that energy. So the violet flame, oh my God, it's one of the most incredible energies you can work with, because what it does, it clears out, it transmutes, cause, effect, record, memory of karma, changes dark to light. If you've got a low-end reptilian entity around. Now, have you ever been in a room where it's gotten really, really cold?
Many times, yes. My old house, practically, yes, I would know. I always know.
Where it's gone from nice, warm, comfortable to really cold. Okay.
Or you walk through it all of a sudden, and then it's like bitter bone cold. Yes, I have. Yes.
Okay. To me, that is such a low energy, and I'll just call it reptilian. And what they're doing is they're sucking our life force.
Yeah.
So when I feel that, or at times they would just kind of punch me on the shoulder and let me know they were there. Okay. So I called Michael the Archangel to take his sword through the flame. And Michael, if you know the angels, he is the one that does war. Okay. He's the battle guy. I cut the ties between that reptilian, whatever it's attached to. Now I call the violet flame to clean up the energy, to clean up them, to clean it up around that person. And then I'll tie and bind that energy, ship it back to God, and fill that space up with an energy of light. And then the room will shift, okay, and it will get warmer. So, and again, when you're doing a cleansing, a house cleansing, and you have low entities that really shouldn't be there, it's time for them to go home.
We've talked about this off air. You've shared quite a bit with me about this because I had a case here in Thunder Bay that I was asking you, and you helped quite a bit with that. I don't think I remembered till just now. Sorry, carry on. I want people to hear this. It's important.
So, well, again, you cut the ties, you send the violet flame through the house, and it's such a high energy, they can't hang. But I just don't like to push them out because then they'll go hang at someone else's house. Okay. So that's where I cut the ties, I tie and bind them, and I send them back to God because they really want to go home. They're stuck. Okay. And it can transmute someone's anger. Okay. One time, one time, I pissed somebody off. Go figure. And he pulled into my parking space. I was waiting to turn in, and he just pulls in, right? And he knew he did something wrong because he held up his hand, his finger, like that was okay. And he walked in, and I got really pissed. Okay. So when he came out, being the Leo that I am, I just kind of verbally told him off.
I'm a Leo too.
So then you get me. So then, as you go on that day, you're minding your own business. Now, remember, I have no idea who this man is. And thoughts would come up with him, and I would buy into it, like, oh, that mean SOB, blah, 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 why did it? Then you realize, like, you're ping-ponging. It's telepathy ping-pong. He's thinking about me, I'm picking up the thoughts, and I'm responding. Now, if it would be you, I would pick up your thoughts and say, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. But this jerk, it's like, okay. So you realize, I don't want to stay connected. So then you shift it. You call the violet flame and you chant. Me, I am the big violet fire. I am the purity God desires. That invokes the violet flame and starts to burn off energy. And usually in 10 minutes, it's gone. Okay. Now, if by some chance I still feel them, think about me because I don't want to go there into that negativity. They're in my life. So important. Actually, spirit to give them something constructive to do, to take their minds off of it. Okay, so it'll break that. Okay.
Just so people know, you're not chanting this out loud either, so that people are hearing you. Like you can, and it makes it more powerful. But in a space like that, out in public, or like when you say you cut this, just so people know, you're imagining it, like you're picturing it. I want to say imagining it, picturing it.
But I'm also saying it in my mind out loud.
Yes.
And I probably shout it out loud. Okay. But the first time I was introduced to the violet flame, I smoked pot real heavy to where I couldn't communicate.
That spider bite. He's never been, but he doesn't use it. Everybody thinks he does. But one time when he's single years, somebody had told him it was chemo pot. And he says that's what they told him he was. I've never heard this term. They call it spider bite, where you literally are paralyzed. Like you can't even blink because you're just so...
No, I wasn't there. Okay, no, I literally, I couldn't communicate. I had trouble, putting my sentences together. Memory was shot to hell. Okay.
Right.
So, Spirit brought into my world a book from Mark Prophet, and it was called The Science of the Spoken Word, about the violet flame, and that was doing decrees. But it said in there, if you did one of the perks of working with the violet flame is that if you have any addictions, it'll clean it up and it'll release it and let it go. And I figure, what do I got to lose, right? And I'm a show me, okay? Spirit, don't bring anything into my life unless I can read it and make it practical and see something happen. So I read the book and a lot of decrees in it, a lot of chants, and I took about 15 of them, which meant something to me. Right. And I said, okay, I'm going to read these in the morning and at night. It was like 15 minutes, and you're supposed to do each decree 3 times, like we do with the chant. Okay. All right, so I did it the first week. That weekend, I decided, because I'm a Leo, go big or go home.
Go big or go home.
That I'm going to do it all weekend. I'm going to devote the whole weekend to chanting to the violet flame. So I went outside, and they say that if you can do it 33 times each decree,
Mm-hmm.
that's, awesome. So
Powerful.
I went to my backyard, and I literally did this, power of the spoken word, whole weekend. And I had to jar 33 pennies because I'm not losing count.
Right. Oh, that's a good idea. Mm-hmm.
But at the end of that Sunday night, everything was violet. My mind was back. I knew who I was. I knew spiritually where I was going. I changed so fast that people wouldn't recognize me, and I had to pull away from my friends because
Yeah.
here I am in this newness, and they're going, "Yeah, I don't think so." So when you're in that delicate shape, you're like a butterfly coming out of a cocoon or just came
Mm-hmm.
out. It's delicate. So I had to pull back from all those people until they recognized that I changed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So that's how incredibly powerful the violet flame is, because it
Mm-hmm.
will get you out of addictions and help you on your spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, that's part of when I mentor people is, people will say once you start along this path, and it's not like it chooses you and you knew you were going to choose it. It's like coming home is the way I feel. But one of the things that a lot of people have a hard time with is that once you start along this path, sometimes you have to do a relationship review because, isn't the research show that the 7 people you spend the bulk of your time with, you start to become like? And it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be family. It could be where you're at work or what have you. So, and I never tell people they have to do this, but they'll say, I keep hearing from people that are close to me, you've changed. I don't know you anymore. You've changed. Sometimes you have to take a look at that and people go separate ways. There's nothing you can do about it.
You
Hmm.
have to, because you're growing spiritually and you're leaving them behind, and they're
Hmm.
choosing to stay that way.
Yeah.
And as you release and let them go,
In
spirit
love.
brings you in new people that
Exactly. Yeah.
are at your level, that are wanting to learn.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's kind of like a team. It's really exciting.
And you find each other, like you really do. Like Cathy and I are on the same network. We never knew each other. We've become good friends. And then when I found out about Global Enlightenment, and then you did it Christmas Eve for the hour, and then by popular request, it came back. It was supposed to be just for this evening, but you had decided on 2 nights. But the people when you shared it that I knew that are in this field that I shared it with, and then they kept asking, can I share this? I have people that I want to share. Yes, I have permission. Please share it. So that's how it grows, right? And then the more people that focus on the same, like you said, with the chanting and repeating it, Dave added 33 and 1/3. Yes, powerful number. And when you repeat it like that, you're adding auditory sound to it. So there's another level of energy vibration to it. And it's incredible. This was something I just remembered. I wanted to share for somebody that doesn't believe this. Part of my message also to people is we are capable of so much more than we've ever been told or even could possibly believe. So
Mm-hmm.
next time you're standing in line at a grocery store or any store and you've got somebody behind you. Now, it may not work the first time, okay, because it takes a little bit just to kind of get used to what energy feels like and what have you. Stare at the back of the nape of their neck, like right about here, and just say in your mind, turn around, turn around, turn around, please, turn around. I guarantee you, you try that a few times, people will start to turn around like somebody calling me or, right?
Mm-hmm. But once you understand that you can do this, you really shouldn't manipulate people.
That is true. Well, it's the same reason why I can't use a pendulum. I was on can I use a pendulum? I use it with my crystal Reiki. But if I have a vested interest in the answer, because I was on a podcast and I knew the host quite well. He's actually met Joe, our owner, Joe Montaldo. Give him a shout out, the owner of our network. Thank you, Joe, for UPRN. And so I was on a show, we started talking about energy, and I don't know how pendulums came up. I said, hang on, I'm going to grab one. So as I'm holding it, you can see my arm, it's not moving, I'm holding it, and I said, okay, Now it's going to move diagonal. Okay, now it's going to stop. Okay, now it's going to go in a circle and whatever. Okay, so you could do that, right? Well, there was people in my audience saying, "She's a witch. She's a witch. Oh my God, she's possessed. She's no, it's actually I think I have a pendulum. I can show you. Same thing. It's once you know how to move energy, and it's just with practice like any muscle,
But you
it
know what I found
becomes
is
simple.
you. We can control it. So if
Hmm.
I want an honest answer,
Hmm.
what I will do is I will have someone
Hmm.
else hold it, and then
Hmm.
I have them turn their back to me, okay,
Hmm.
holding the pendulum.
Yeah.
And then I will tell them the question in my mind,
Okay.
okay? I won't say it out loud. And
Okay.
then whatever they get, whatever answer they get, I
Yeah.
know it's a clean, clear answer, and they're not putting anything
You're
into
not
it.
putting, okay, so for example, okay, this is sitting, you can see my arm. Okay, I'm going to ask it to move back and forth. See how it's moving? My arm's not moving. Okay, it's going to stop. Now it's going to go in a circle. Now it's going to stop. I could spend all night doing this, guys. I'm not moving my arm. Once you know how to focus it, right? Well, people thought I was a witch. Even the host who knows me says, I'm an amateur magician. How do I know you're not doing a magician's trick? And my answer was on air, you know me. I don't know a thing about magic. I really don't. But the
What we
comments, it
do
was
is
funny.
magic. Anything that is unexplained
Yes.
to a normal person
Yeah.
is magic.
But when you say the words like black magic, we were talking about, right? You get people scoffing at it. Yet when there's not an explanation, there has to be, there's some kind of imagery involved or magic.
But that's also where their consciousness is,
Yeah. Hmm.
because they're living in this box and
Hmm.
they're having a hard time breaking out of it. Because
Yeah.
once you become a conscious being, an awakened spiritual conscious being, you're open to all these new possibilities. And you are unlimited,
Yes. Yes.
unlimited potential.
Hmm. Dave says it's an extension of the hand, just like the wand from the ancient world. Well, it is in a way. Yeah, Dave, you're right. Because what I'm doing is I am literally just focusing in my mind, telling it what, asking it politely. I don't order anything around. I thank it. They all move by energy. Yes, they do. You can use your body as a pendulum. I teach people that too. You can find out you got a whole wall of vitamins and you don't know what brand's good for you. You can find out so you're not carrying one of these around to look like your whatever, and you can use your body very subtly too. Hmm.
Well, I don't mind taking this out with me. And,
Hmm.
you know, what I was going to suggest is like, if I had a friend, still have the friend, um, they would go into a restaurant and he would take one finger and he would go down and ask spirit, what would be the most nutritious meal for me right now?
Yeah. Hmm.
And then, he would pick that out,
Hmm.
using pendulum. So it's practical application
Hmm.
of
Can help you
pendulum.
find lost things. Like it's incredible. And this is not new technology or they used to use these all the time. Don't you? Many
Yeah,
people may remember, depending on your age, when grandma used to hold a needle over the pregnant belly and ask by the way it turned, if it spun whatever way or if it went side to side, whether it was a boy or a girl. And most times she was very accurate. That's why. That's you can use anything as a pendulum. Hmm.
water dowsing.
Hmm. Oh, yes, yes.
We would use sticks.
Yeah.
And we would hold the sticks like this. And then when they came near water, the sticks
Yeah.
would
You're
cross.
talking about the why, but very quickly, because I know we got to get off of here in a minute. I'm trying to see if I have them handy. I have all my spiritual stuff here. Okay, these aren't the ones I made, but I actually held a class, a free class, and showed people how to make their
Oh, yes,
own.
yes, yes, yes. Yes,
My,
dowsing.
yeah,
Well, you can even take one of those
hmm,
and do the same thing that you would with a pendulum
hmm,
and hold it in
yes,
one hand and go, okay, should
yeah,
I do this? Should I do that? Is
yeah.
this good? And it'll tell you.
Oh, yeah, Dave's talking about dowsing on Oak Island. Yes, because, and you can find electrical lines. I've tried it myself. You can find water because we're made of energy. There's energy all around the world. this is how it works. Cathy, we got 2 minutes. We were going to do chatting or chanting. You're going to have to come back on. So do you want to tell people where to find you?
Thursday.
What's
Don't
that?
show Thursday. Don't show.
Yes, yes, yes. I mentioned that before you came on, and I think Del said something about Michelle DeRoche may join us too. He asked me to join. I said, we're going to have quite the discussion. Too bad we didn't, because Del and I used to do shows back to back. So when we did shows, like with, certain people or a group, we'd amalgamate and make it a 3-hour show, and then you had a lot more time. So where can people find you besides Del Show Thursday? How can they get a hold of you? The whole bit, Cathy.
All right, Facebook, Cathy Bilsky. YouTube, I'm censored for a few months because I
Yes.
was a girl. Twitter, Cathy Bilsky. You can look on my website. It's angeliteom, ANGELITEOM.com. You can call me at my store, 808-775-9400. I have a store in Hawaii. If you come into the store, I do free mini massages. I do healings. You can lay on my ancient light table. I'm very accessible.
Yes. And when's your show? When's your show?
Oh, yeah. God. I promote myself so well.
Yes.
Friday nights from midnight to 1 in the morning.
Quantum Leap right here on UPRN. And if
And we
you've
do a lot
ever
of energy work.
go ahead, Cathy, sorry.
Oh, sorry. We do a lot of energy work on that, on the
Yes, she
show.
does. And she is powerful. The last time she was on my show, we had time for it. And holy cow, could I feel it. She is powerful, you guys. So, and ladies. So I'll have her back on. We do lots of stuff behind the scenes. I'm sure we'll be doing more together on air. If you ever want to get a hold of me, you can find me on facebook.com/The Angel Rock. I have 2 groups. Paranormal University for all things within the paranormal, safe space to ask questions. There's people from all over the world in there, lots of different experiences. And then the Angel Rocker Tribe is many of the things we talked about tonight and much more, including teaching people how to we all have these abilities. So connecting with your own connection and why you're here and the whole bit. So and if you're ever show, go ahead,
You're
Cathy.
teaching the sacred truths.
Thank you.
What
I
we
will
share
remember that.
is stuff that only the priests would have. Masses would not accessible with this information. So what she's teaching you and what I'm teaching you is very special.
And I will remember those words because that is actually a beautiful way to put it. If you ever have a show idea or a guest maybe that you'd like me to look into, please don't hesitate to get a hold of me. I am on all social media platforms, usually under either my name, Lorilei Potvin, or The Angel Rock. So until next week, I send you all so much love and light. I thank Cathy for being here, and we will see you same time, same space next week. Bye, everybody.
Aloha.